Don't do it to me. Come on. Oh, I got to put the plug in. Ah, dang. Coming back. All right, here we go. Let's try it. Oh, yes. Love it. Oh, goodness. Hat. All right, here we go. Man, what a process. My bad, fellas. Y'all for technical issues going through this sucker. Hit me with some questions. Let's get it going. My camera battery looks like it's about to die. I got the red flashing battery light. My brother would be mad at me, but didn't charge it last night. Totally my fault. Want to make sure I get in the Super Bowl prediction before the thing goes out on y'all. First of all, again, thank you for the support. Appreciate it. I want to try to do these things more and more. Blending. Oh, dang. All right, so you get the audio. Totally my fault. Sucks. You get the audio. I'm going to charge the battery here. Hold on one second. All right, this is amateur hour to the ninth degree. Charging the battery. We're going podcast live stream. Don't even know if this exists, but I'm doing it because I want to make sure that I get the Super Bowl prediction out. So let me know if you can hear me. Got a little like 15-second delay on my end, so just give me a thumbs up or something in the channel. But I want to make sure that I get this thing out there because it's been bugging me. Didn't know which way to go. Let me see here. Either way, I get to questions, so hit me with the questions. My Super Bowl prediction, and this is tough because obviously this is the quarterback school. You want it to be the quarterback to play well, but for me, it comes down to I always want to roll with the best quarterback. Always, always, always. And so for me, the Patrick Mahomes, easily the best player in the league, but I just can't get past the fact that I think the 49ers are the better team, like collectively up and down. And I know it kind of goes against a little bit the essence of this channel, but I just think that they are better and they're going to find a way to win, and it's going to be too tough for Patrick Mahomes and that track team on the perimeter. So I'm going 49ers, a little bit of an upset, but I wouldn't be upset either way. I'm just hoping for a good game. I think Patrick Mahomes is like next level, kind of fun to watch, but I think that defensive front is going to cause issues. I think they're going to try to do their best to keep him in the pocket, not let him chunk it all over the place. And I think it's going to be the 49ers. In fact, I wouldn't be surprised if it's not even close. I know that doesn't sound fun, but it's one of those things where I think that they're up and down the roster. They're better, and it's hard for me to go against the better team in the ultimate team sport. So for me, that's who I'm going with. I'm going with the Chiefs, or I'm going with the Niners. Jeez, look at that Freudian slip right there. I'm going with the Niners for the win. Has nothing to do with me playing for the Niners. I probably would prefer to see Patrick Mahomes play out of his mind and play well, but for me, up and down, they're just better, and it's hard for me to say that as a guy who loves to spin it. But what they're doing on offense with the 49ers, controlling the clock, Jimmy Garoppolo, good enough to make it happen, and that defense is just going to make things too tough on him, and I like the Niners. So let me know if you think I'm crazy or not, and hit me with some questions here. Let me see the first one. AC, appreciate it. Would you rather coach a kid with a cannon for an arm or a smart QB that reads the defense perfectly? I would rather coach a kid that can do both. But if I had to do either one, I definitely would prefer a smart one. We can adapt what we're going to do offensively around his skill set. A kid that we had this year had a limited amount of clubs in the bag, so to say, but was a great at smart, bought in, did everything that we asked, and we were able to have some success. So it's one of those things where a cannon of an arm, you can get anybody from the stands who's got a cannon. They're not necessarily going to be a great quarterback. I'm always going to try to be the best quarterback and throwing the ball accurately, delivering who it's supposed to go to on time, all those things. I hope it's not another blowout too, Ben, no doubt. It's one of those things. I love I love close games. You love it. And we've really been spoiled there. For a long time, I felt like the games weren't that great. And then more recently, they've been better games. And so I'm hoping for a close game. I think the Chiefs are good enough offensively to keep it tight no matter what. I'm just afraid that they're not going to be able to do what they want to do offensively. And when all of a sudden, when you can't blow the top off, you can't allow that speed to kind of separate yourself. It's going to be a not as easy of a day for Patrick Mahomes. And it's hard for me to say that, really is, because I want him to do well. I want the league to kind of get on to the next phase of quarterback. So must read books for football fans. Honestly, I would get into reading everything you can get your hands on. The one that I'm probably going to do next, as far as a video, let's see if I can grab it from my bookshelf. Actually, you guys can't see me, but got it right behind me. Bill Walsh, Finding the Winning Edge. So that's probably the Bible, not the Bible, but as close to a football Bible as you can get for someone who aspired to be like a general manager, coach. See, oh, look at this. Oh, my mom and dad gave it to me. Oh man, this is pretty cool. My mom and dad gave it to me. They signed the inside of it. April 11th, 1998. To JT, the next Bill Walsh. Love, Mom and Dad, Patrick, and of course Gunner. That was our dog, Black Lab. Very cool. Definitely read it in the 90s. Still applicable. It's a thick read now. It goes into the depths and nuance as far as how you're going to run an organization, and it's obviously all slanted to the West Coast terminology and thinking with Bill Walsh, but definitely well worth the read. My dad actually met Bill Walsh in an elevator once, and I think it was right before he bought this book. So it'll be a good one. I'll do a full video on it, maybe even kind of a deeper dive into the content than I did originally with the book reviews, just so that I can kind of know some people aren't going to read the book. So hopefully I can share a couple nuggets in that regard. What else? Here we go. We got Kevin. Do you see it being a defensive struggle then? Can Honey Badger keep up his great play? I could see him picking off Jimmy G. Has been careless with the ball, but he's had a few INTs dropped. That's just good living. That's that vegan diet. No. Yeah, I mean, I can see it. I don't know if it'll be a defensive struggle per se, but I just think that when you all of a sudden can't operate the way that you've been operating, and what I mean by that with the Chiefs is that they are so fast and they've been so good offensively. And my thing about it is, when I look at the Niners and their body of work, like at this point of the season, you look at body of work, like I feel like they've had a harder, tougher struggle to get in. You know, they got their playoff spot right at the last second. They got the bye. They've had a tougher division. You know, the AFC West down, the AFC playoffs down. You know, they don't get lucky with Baltimore losing early. Patriots aren't the same team. I just like the 49ers are a little bit more tested in tight games. Not that the Chiefs haven't been in tight games, but not against, I feel like they've had a better quality of opponent through the course of the year, more quality wins. But Jimmy G, you go back and watch a lot of Garoppolo's tape all through the course of the season. You know, he was not, I would say, the level of player that we expect him to be early in the season. Now, granted, coming back from an injury, you know, all sorts of different excuses, you can wrap your head around it, but I could definitely see him turning the ball over. I think that Shanahan is a little more intentional about kind of pulling back some of the responsibility. You've seen it early in the playoffs where, you know, they don't necessarily ask him to chuck it around quite as much as the Chiefs are always looking to chuck it around. So there's more opportunity to make some of those plays. But you watch Patrick Mahomes, he has a bunch of dropped interceptions too. It's not like, you know, when every magic play you see him make where he throws it across his body 50 yards, another one of those is a dropped INT. Now, it's just worked out where that hasn't happened in a crucial moment. Doesn't mean that it won't happen in the Super Bowl. You come out, try to do a no-look pass and throw it to a linebacker, all of a sudden, you know, you never do that again for the rest of your career. So things like that I'm just, you know, for me, it's a combination of things. I like to look at who the best quarterback is, and that's an easy decision here. Not that Jimmy Garoppolo is a slouch by any means, but Patrick Mahomes is the best player on the planet. But then the team, like the 49er team, that defensive front, that defense, the way that they've played, the quality of their opponents, the wins down the stretch, the meaningful football, all of those things to me, you know, how they're moving the ball on offense, it just takes your will away. So, you know, if they can come out, and that's the other thing about this game is so much attention is Chiefs offense, Niners defense. That inevitably means that the game will be decided with the other phases, meaning teams or, Kansas City defense versus the 49ers offense. And in that regard, I think the San Francisco 49ers offense is really good. And running the ball like that, they are tough to deal with. And so all those things combined, I got to go with the better team. All right, Ben, what do you think about the level of access that the press get to football players? It's a huge change from other sports I watch where interaction between players and media is severely limited. What other sports? Give me some examples. I mean, I guess I don't think it's that much different than other teams, as far as maybe it's changed since I've been out of the league, but a handful of days during the week, the media is open for a certain number. I think it's negotiated with the CBA as far as what the access is. For me, I always thought the hardest thing for players in the media in the NFL was that you only have, so many regular season games. So you have a different relationship. And I got a handful of friends, especially in San Diego with the Padre organization and baseball, but even basketball, you play 82 games, you play 162 games. You have different interaction with the media. Where in an NFL game, if you lose a regular season game, it's tough. If you lose a baseball game, that's par for the course, so to say. You're only gonna win 60-70% of those at the best teams, and so it's just a different interaction. And so that's true. AC soccer in Europe, Latin America. Is it limited with soccer? Like I trained when I was in Europe. In Frankfurt, we trained with the Eintracht Bundesliga team. In the same facility, and I don't ever remember seeing that much media around. Now, it's a little different with the size of the team and the access as far as what they want to do off the facility. But on the facility, in your job, I don't know. For me, the media thing is fascinating, even as it plays out in real time, right? Like for instance, Tom Brady comes out with that. I'm not on Instagram per se. I know there's an account for the QB school, but I don't really do it. Like that's him, right? Like he's trying to figure out what's next. He's trying to extend his brand. He's trying to maximize his impact, see what the market will pay for him. All of those things, it's if you're talking AC, if you're talking soccer, like international soccer stars like Barcelona or the top tier national team guys, like that's a whole different world. But it's just, I don't know if anybody has a great answer. It's funny, y'all can't see me because I'm talking to the camera like it's on, just because I'm used to doing it. But it's one of those things for me. I just think it's part of the deal. You get paid a lot of money. It's because you don't play your sport, at the YMCA or the rec. People pay to watch you play, so they feel like they know you and that they should have access to you. And if you're in public, technically, legally, they do have access to you. So it's one of those things where it's part of the deal. If you don't want to do it, you don't have to play. And I know that sounds, a little tough, but that's the reality of it. To me, you live a very privileged life when you get rewarded for a skill and a trait and being a part of a team and playing a game. And the deal is people feel like they own part of you because they pay to watch you play. So I'm not sure if that makes sense, but for me, the other thing about the NFL that's different from a lot of those other sports, especially soccer or basketball, is the helmet, right? Like it's always like, it's not quite as personal as basketball or soccer, where you can see every facial expression, where every single person. Like you only really see someone's face at a podium or after the game. And so there is this barrier. I remember Ricky Williams used to do interviews with his helmet on and he wore a visor. It's just that was for different reasons, but that part of, there you go. True. I do say, I say when I talk football, I talk American football, but it's the helmet thing is just a barrier in American football where that I think isn't a factor for a lot of other sports. And so, it's just, it's difficult. It's just, and the other thing about it is football has 50 guys. And many, soccer teams have maybe 20, and you only know a handful of them usually, and they move, and it's just a different. I don't know. It's hard to answer, but I do think the social media thing is fascinating, especially watching someone like Tom Brady, kind of navigate the end of this career, or what seems like got some tensions, more tensions than normal, in New England, and how he manipulates that, and what's next for him, and if he's going to do, whatever it is, broadcasting, politics, front office, all those things. I think it's fascinating to see how players kind of manipulate the media. And to a certain extent, it's what I'm doing with this, for a certain way. Not that I have media banging down my door, but you get to control the message. You get to control what you talk about. You get to control what you focus on. And it's powerful and it's fun and it's interactive and it's all the best things about it. I think sometimes, many times for a long time, players felt like, I can't control the message. I can't control, how the media is perceiving me. Well, now you don't have any, there is no reason not to do it. You can control your message if it's important for you to be able to get out there and say something that you think is meaningful. And so I like talking quarterbacks. I like talking football to a certain degree. And this is the perfect kind of platform and media for me to be able to do it. And I'm having fun with it. And that's the other part. Y'all love ball. That's why you're here. I love ball. I like to have conversations with people that care about it. All right. Another question. AC, are you in the camp of if you look good, you play good, or minimalist is better? I'm in the camp of you do you, bro. I don't care. I played with a bunch of guys that really care about how they look. I would tell you that there were definitely times in my life that I really cared about how I look. I think it's important to understand that how you look is a reflection of what you value. And, obviously not everyone has the capacity or means to be able to go out there and look exactly like how they want to look, but it is a reflection of what you value, how you spend your time, if you care about yourself and all those things. And so, yeah, it's part of it. But, as far as a player, I was always like, the less is better, keep it clean. I like, as I design uniforms for a high school team now, we're all about classic, timeless uniforms that look good, that get the players excited, that type of stuff, as opposed to I think the easy target is the NBA in the States. The NBA in the States has turned into a fashion show before games. They literally have watch cams to see what outfits players are wearing and whose stylist is who. And it's almost looks like Halloween to a certain extent. All right. Anyone else in there? What else we got? Hit me with something, because I'm a little bummed about the camera, but I'm going to see, where can we see those designs? I'll post them. If I'm actually really excited about the high school team this year. We got the contract to get a Jordan uniform for all those Nike fans out there. Y'all who watch this channel probably know that I got a lot of Nike stuff just because I was a Nike guy for 10 years. And Jordan is trying to get in, the Jordan brand of Nike is trying to get into uniforms. And obviously at the college level, there's a handful of schools, I think Florida, Michigan. And so they reached out to 50 high school programs, and we are one of them, probably because we dropped a lot of money on our Nike uniforms last year. But so we're going to get black Jordan uniforms. They're clean. They are legit clean. Our players are really fired up about it. So they get to design it. I'm actually got to write the check for it here pretty soon. And so it'll be fun. It's a cool recruiting tool for on campus for us. If you're good enough to play on the varsity, you get to wear these brand new Jordan uniforms. So I'm pretty excited. Oh, Ben, I see PhD, man. You're making me nervous. I'm interested in doing a PhD next year, so I was wondering how you were able to balance your academic commitments and your family commitments. Bro, it is rough. It is rough. I'm not going to lie. I probably didn't know what I was getting myself into when I got into it, and that was probably a good thing. I'm really proud of it. I'm very thankful that I did it, because it kind of, for me, I was always someone who I never wanted to have someone be able to talk above my head, if that makes sense, to use words and research. And people would always cite research and the methodology and all these things, especially when you're in higher education. And I was in higher education, college athletics. And I felt like there was a tier of people who had doctorates, PhDs, and people who didn't. And you're it's entrance into that academic higher education kind of club. And so the commitment element of it is a beast, man. I used to get up, I basically woke up 3 or 4 days a week, 4 a.m., and got all my schoolwork done before the rest of the family got up. And we really had young kids, like a 2-year-old and an infant when I started. And so that made it easier. It would be a lot harder for me now I have kids who require a lot more kind of attention, or quality attention, as opposed to just babysitting attention. And so, it is tough. There's no way around it. But the best time to start a doctorate is last year. So you just get it started and see if you like it. And if you don't, quit. There's no problem around doing that. But I loved it. It was excellent for me as far as pushing myself intellectually, professionally, so many good things. But it is a stressor. on many levels, and there's no way around it. You got to have a willing, hopefully you have a willing partner and understanding partner who's willing to kind of sacrifice in the same regard because it's important to you. But for me, it was always like, hey, I'm going to read. I'm interested in thinking. I want to be a better writer. I might as well get the qualifications, and the league pays for it. So it was easy financially for me, but it's tough. AC, what do you remember about your first high school start? Nervous. I don't remember anything about my first high school start. I will tell you, though, that my first high school scrimmage, like the first tackle football game I ever played, I was terrified, and I should have been terrified, and I got tossed like the second play. And we were playing this team called Valley, scrimmaging. They're way more athletic. I grew up playing flag football, and I got tossed from like a guy blitzing through the A-gap. I was under center and just jacked up right out the gate and thrown like a rag doll. And I remember thinking, like, this is not for me. I actually tell a story when I talk to youth kids. I tell that story and I add something that's a little bit of a fabrication, that the first play I turned, and when I got up after getting thrown, I thought I got knocked out, or I thought I was going to get knocked out because I started feeling like the curtains were coming in on me a little bit, and I was getting like tunnel vision. But really, my helmet was just turned to the side, and I was looking at the ear hole. So that didn't happen, but I tell the story because it gets a good reaction. I think I actually stole that story from Jim Harbaugh. Told it to me once when I was listening to him talk. All right, let me see. We'll do a couple more questions here to hopefully y'all enjoy this stuff. It's fun for me, but it's one of those things where I want it to be meaningful for y'all, or else it's not worth doing. That's my coffee, if you're wondering. What was the best ran organization, NFL or Europe, that you were ever part of during your playing days? So I answer this question a little different ways. When you're talking pure football, best run organization, there's no comparison to the New England Patriots. Everything is about winning. Everything is about playing better on Sundays. Does that make it the most warm environment? Does that make it the best environment to work? Depending on what you value, yeah. I mean, for me, I loved it. Like, I ate it up. It was perfect for me at that time. And it was fascinating because I came from really a West Coast family of teams, 3 or 4 teams up until that point that all ran the same jargon, the same schedule, the same everything. And so it was fascinating for me to see a different organization run it at a higher level and do it by basically things I'd never done before. Now, in the same regard, the way that I thought some teams treated their players, I love the Packer organization. I thought it was first class. I thought that the way that the fans respected the space, it's different because it's a small town, and I'm not a huge, recognizable guy, so I got to slide under the radar a little bit. But I just appreciated it. Was almost like a collegiate environment where it was, it was just a great place to work and good people up and down the organization. It was different. And the ones that I thought were kind of the shadiest of all of them usually had something to do with some serious, significant nepotism at the top of the organization. Not that every NFL team doesn't have that to a certain regard, but the ones that I thought were the worst run, or not worst, like most inconsistent or bizarre work environments, now that I've worked in other kind of sectors, was definitely teams that were run by families and usually spread thin as far as like the kid of the original, the grandson of the original owner is now the director of scouting, or like it's not the original owner or founder. It's always like the fourth layer is now running the day-to-day operations. It was just those parts, that was the thing that I think I never really sat well with. So it was a little unsettling, and I just thought it was inconsistent, and it created kind of a weird work environment where things were always unnecessarily gray, or people didn't know who to go up to. There wasn't a clear chain hierarchy of, decision makers. There you go. You're just making some guesses. I'd add Chargers to that list too, Kevin. But yeah, you get the gist. With everyone talking about the Niners, we'll stick to zone or man to check Patrick. How will be an easy way to read the defense when you're watching the game? How can you tell? I think for me, anytime I watch the Niners, it's just really easy to see with Sherman, if he's playing man or zone. He's naturally wants to have his ass to the sideline and be a bail corner, whether it's quarters, match coverage, middle field closed, zone. If he's playing man, I just don't think anybody can check Tyreek Hill in man coverage all game. You might be able to check him in certain areas of the game, in man coverage, like red zone or tight red zone or things like that. But how they decide to attack Sherman and or the other side, I think will be something easy to tell. I also think the Chiefs are going to try to screen and trick play the 49ers just to get that front moving laterally. You just don't want them to tee off and pin their ears back on Mahomes and just make his day and get to that launch point, as often as they probably will. And so that's one of the things that I'm going to be interested in right out the gate. I always think Andy Reid's a great play caller, one of the best screeners in the game, and has been for decades. And so what kind of screens does he have coming out the bag? I'm going to guess that we're going to see like some fake inside zone, fake reverse, throw a screen back to the back that you faked inside zone, that different ways to kind of get the front to slow down or hesitate and then run horizontally to take the pressure off Mahomes, all those things. But when you watch it on TV, it's just really hard to watch. Like, I just watch the ball. People ask me all the time, what are you looking at? I'll occasionally look at certain guys. I'll probably watch Bosa for a handful of snaps just to see if they're chipping him, if they're moving him around. Is he lining up in the same spot? I'm going to guess he's going to move around a lot, which will make chipping, double teaming him a little bit more difficult. And then do you pressure Patrick Mahomes? I don't think you pressure Patrick Mahomes. I don't think there's a good, other than squeezing the pocket and making life difficult on the outside. I don't know how you stop him, and that's kind of the hesitation about why. But I can't get past the fact that all three phases, I like the Niners, and I gotta somehow find a way to make them, talk myself into them winning. So we'll see. All right, y'all. I'm gonna do one thing real quick. Hang tight for like 30 seconds. All right, we're back. Love it. Charged, at least pseudo charged. So now I got the camera. I got a little bit more mojo going. See if I can take this thing all the way to the hour. How do you feel the Padres will do this season? Oh, are you a baseball fan too? Oh, Reds fan. I mean, geez, I love the Padres. It's tough out here, man. It really is. As a baseball fan, got a bunch of friends in the organization, and bizarrely, Manny Machado lives down the street. It's you're pulling for those guys. It's just a hard place. It really is. It's like the forgotten city in Major League Baseball, I feel like. I hope they do well. It's just, baseball's tough, man. New manager. How about the crazy thing about the Astros, man? I just finished reading Astro Ball. Let's see if I can find that one. Astro Ball, if y'all haven't read this. Now, this book obviously is in a totally different light nowadays. But just as far as an organizational excellence thing, now that you know that they're cheaters on many levels, but I really enjoyed this book. This book was pretty popular maybe 18 months ago, but not quite as much anymore. There's no chapters on trash cans. But this is the book that I think is well worth your time. I mean, it is thick. There's no doubt about it. It's an encyclopedia, but I love it. Takes me back to my childhood a little bit, just because I grew up going to the Niners training camp every day in Rockland. And so very cool. See how they do things. I think there's obviously, for me, I'm always trying to learn new things, try to figure out new ways to do it. I kind of like to go outside of football to do that, but it's still fun to see how the best did it. Let me see what we got here. A couple more things. Adam, what are your thoughts on the Astros Red Sox cheating scandal? There you go. Yeah, it could definitely happen in the NFL. I don't know if it could it probably could. I mean, I'm not going to say I used to steal signals all the time. And what I mean by that is, you look at the defense coordinator and you learn the signals and the defense. To me, if you're stealing signals, you're fine until you use technology. If you have someone with a TV, a monitor, a buzzer, things like that, that is not legal. But if you're just doing it because you're playing, I remember many times playing college ball, playing professional ball, especially in the NFL where you have a headset. I would be listening to the play, looking at the defensive coordinator on the sideline. And if I could see something that I thought, this is like a pretty common coverage signal. Let me see if y'all could figure out what this is. So that's over cover 2. Like 2 ears, point to your 2. Oftentimes 2 is like right here because it's usually 0, 1, 2 as number system. So it's like under robber. Like those are universal signals for defense. Like that's not stealing, in my opinion. That's just you don't have great signals. So I tell people all the time, especially young quarterbacks, I did this at every organization. I don't think this is like a trick of the trade. It's a trick of the trade, but it seems it's pretty intuitive to me. I would learn an offense as fast as you can. You go to a new team. Then I would learn the defense. Like, hey, if you're going to yell out the defense, I'm going to know what it is. And so I knew what it was all through college. Never played a snap of defense, but I could line up. I could play safety, make the calls that all the safeties make, and I would know the signals because when I was getting the reps, I'd look at the defensive coordinator. Okay, you're in 2-man. Yeah, I got you. Oh, what is this? Saw dog. Like, yeah, it's not that hard. Strong dog, weak dog. I mean, these are universal signals. It's not that hard. And so it's an advantage. You would do it. I would do it. What else we got here? Take this lid off. I tell you what, I like these live streams, man. I don't know if y'all like them, but it's fun for me. It's easier than doing a video, a little bit more interactive. You think it's frustrating that the players aren't getting punishments? It would be tough to do individual punishments. No, and that's the thing, right? Like the ethical, moral element of this. Like, what's a big enough fine, or what's enough penalty to allow someone not to cheat to win a World Series? Like, it would be a lot. Like, off the top of my head, I think the fine was like $5 million in draft picks. Like, that's not very big for me for a World Series. I know a lot of Padre fans that would trade that in a heartbeat. So, I don't know. I just, it's tough for me because I want them to be kind of, you want it to be above board, right? You want it to be ethical. You want it to be moral, but I think you're cheating yourself. You're being a little naive if you don't think people are cheating at every single level. And so that's just the reality of it. Like, there's a saying in the NFL, I'm not sure if it's only in the NFL, that if you're not cheating, you're not trying. I remember the first time I heard that as a rookie, I was like, you say this out loud? And now looking back on it, damn near every guy I was playing with was doing something illegal. But I mean, like steroids, all those things back in the day, like that was just, I was naive. Oh man. All right, y'all. Been fun. My throat's hurting me. See, this is the part I edit out on the videos. All right. See ya. Shutting this thing down.